In this lecture, we're setting up our rocket so that we can hold down the spacebar, add a force to it, and it'll fly up in the air. Let's get started. So as a quick reminder, the two main ways that we can move things is we can go into our transform and say, just move it a bit on the Y and a bit more on the Y and a bit more on the Y, a bit more on the Y. And that will allow us to actually move the transform, move the position of our object in the world by stating, change its number. Or we can use Unity's physics system to say, give it a shove that way and another shove that way. And it's applying force and then letting the physics system take care of what that actually means. And we're going to be using that force approach in this project. And whenever we're using the physics system, we need to add what to our game object? We need to add a rigid body. So click on Add Component, or you clicked on your player rocket, and search for rigid body. Seems like I've already searched for it. So here's rigid body, and add that to our rocket. You can see that if we have use gravity in place and we click play, it'll just go broop and drop through the ground. We don't have a collider on there yet. Should we add a collider? Yeah, why not? Let's be crazy. So add a component, add a collider. We're looking for a box collider, and let's see what sort of shape it's given us. Not a very useful shape, to be honest. So let's just do a really quick manipulation of this. Find the center of that, move it up a little bit, expand it on the X so it's a bit wider, expand it on the Y so it's a bit taller. That's good for now. We don't need it to be perfect. We just need to have it so it's probably a little bit smaller than our actual game object. I think so, a little bit smaller. Now close that up, back to our rigid body. We've got gravity. Now if I click on play, we'll see, okay, it drops down to the ground plane because this object we were sitting on doesn't have a collider. That's probably going to be one of the things that the assets we've brought in, let's have a look at this mesh renderer. It doesn't have a collider, so let's put a collider on that quickly as well, just to be a bit thorough here. Box collider, yeah, that should be fine, because we're really only worried about the top of it, maybe the side of it. We'll click on the box collider once again, open that up, and make that a little bit narrower. Looking at the size, I didn't explain that very well when I was playing around with the collider on the rocket, was I? I was just sort of doing things. Sorry about that. I am mousing over the X in terms of size. That'll reduce the size of things, and we'll make it not so high on the Y. So again, on size, but I want it to be up a little bit because I need the collision to be right on the top of our object here. So I'm just dragging it up until the green box looks pretty much okay. And interestingly, we've got two landing pads that have been prefab. Let's have a little look at that. Does this one over here have a collider on it? No, it doesn't. Does that have a collider on it? Yes, it does. So what if we went over to our prefab that we just put our collider on, or our instance of the prefab, and we clicked on overrides and said, click on overrides, and it says applying to a model prefab is not possible. I've got some clarifying points quickly about our imported assets that we've brought into our scene. If we import an FBX model, which these are, we can drop them into our scene however we like. We can scale it, rotate it, go crazy. We can drag in as many as we want. We can duplicate, etc. However, we can't alter the original model file. We can't alter the FBX file itself. We can't do what we've been doing with prefabs, which we click the apply back to prefab button, and then it'll go to the original, and then it'll populate to all the copies that we've got in our scene. It doesn't work that way. If we use one of these models from our scenes to create a prefab, what it will do is create a prefab variant. So if we've got the model in our scene, we drag from our hierarchy into our directory, it will create a prefab variant. I'm not going to go into a lot of depth about prefab variants. They're pretty cool. Basically, it's a copy of a copy, if you want to look at it that way. And now with the prefab variant, any changes we make to one prefab variant instance will be applied to the other instance of that prefab variant, but not to the original artwork. So if we take a model, drop it into the scene, and then we have it in our hierarchy, we drop it to make a prefab, it'll be a prefab variant, then any modifications we make will be made to that prefab variant, and any other instances of that prefab variant will behave as we're used to with prefabs. So let's jump back over into Unity, click on our second launchpad, delete that. We've got our first launchpad. I need to create a new folder. Click on Assets, right-click, Create Folder. We'll call this Prefabs. That's where we'll be putting our prefabs. Now, the launchpad I've got in my hierarchy, drag that down. That creates a prefab variant, which is pretty much a prefab, but it's a prefab of our FBX model. We can drag in our prefab variant into our scene. Just put it generally over in the spot we want it to be so that we've got an indication of what our game's going to be. Go from A to B, and that has our collision already on it because it's the prefab that we made from over here. Click on overrides. There's nothing to override because it's already part of the prefab. It's great. Just match those underneath each other in our hierarchy so they're nice and tidy. Good. Okay, this is a lot of messing around before we get to what we want to actually do, which is to play around with our movement script. So jump over to your movement script. Now that we have a rigid body on our game object, we need to access the rigid body. and we need to store it as a variable. So let us create a new variable, which will be of type rigid body. We'll call it RB. Now, I like to call things the full name. Like, I would probably call it rigid body, but there's convention out there that it's nearly always called RB for rigid body because, I don't know, people just see RB and they know, oh, that means rigid body. So I'll follow that convention just so you get familiar with that. If you're looking out on forums, might say RB, and you're like, what's an RB? Well, it's a very common way of people writing the variable that is a rigid body. Now, we need to get the component rigid body, and we do that in our start method. So let's recreate the start method. Typing start, then I hit tab to autocomplete. I'm going to put my curly braces on the same line, and within here we need to get component rigid body. So let's type get component. We need our angle braces, angle brackets. What are those? Angle brackets. Get component rigid body, and then parentheses because it's a method of getting the component, semicolon. But that's getting it, but it's not doing anything with it. What do we need to do? We need to shove this getting component into that variable, and we do that by typing RB equals get component rigid body. Shoving's not actually the technical terminology for that. That's my word for this, but we're assigning our variable as this get component rigid body. So now from this point on, rigid body is RB. It knows what's going on. Now let's get to the meat and potato of what we're doing here, which is when we hold down the thrust key, which for us is the space bar, we want to apply some force to our game object. And we're going to do this in update. Well, actually, we're not going to do this in update. We're going to do this in fixed update. And if we jump back over and have a look at our Unity order of execution for event functions, we can see in here that we have fixed update, which is the first part of the physics loop. So we have this physics loop that's going round and round and round that's doing physics calculations. So anytime we're doing anything with physics in Unity, it's good practice to put that calculation into fixed update rather than update, which is, where's update gone? Just there. Update is in game logic, and update is going to be on more of a longer cycle. The physics cycle can happen independent of the update cycle. So update and fixed update might be getting called or executed a different number of times than each other. So if you've got some physics things happening in fixed update and some physics things happening in update, then you can get things out of whack. And the main thing you might see is that you might see a jitteriness of your camera. And if you ever see jitteriness of your camera or something moving and you're like, why is it kind of bouncing backwards and forwards as it moves along the screen? It could be that you need to have something in fixed update. So it's pretty easy. We just, instead of update, we just say fixed update. Boom, done. It's now in fixed update. If thrust is pressed, what do we want to do? In here, I'm going to remove my debug. We don't need that anymore. We're going to access our rigid body by typing rb dot. Now we're looking for a method which is AddRelativeForce. And you can see there's an add force, there's an AddRelativeForce, there's add force at position, there's a bunch of these. Why do we want AddRelativeForce? Well, what that's going to do, just back into Unity for a second, AddRelativeForce is going to say, give a shove of the game object relative to its local facing direction. So at the moment, the global and the local is the same. What do I mean by global and local? Well, if you click up in your scene menu in the top left, you should see a little thing that says global. Currently, we're on global. So if I rotate my object, and then I hit W, my movement is still going to be up. Whoop, I've broken a little bit here. Make sure you haven't gone and clicked on a component of your object. I was just waiting until that happened. I'm going to undo that. Hopefully I've undone all the things here. Make sure you've clicked on your parent game object and not some weird, like one element of your object underneath that. So that's really important or else things will get really broken. Click on your parent game object. So when we clicked on that, if we've rotated and then I hit W, and I apply a force, which is apply an upward force, it's going to just be up in the world based upon where the world thinks that up is. However, if I'm selected on local and I rotate, and then I hit W, it now knows relative to the game object that this is the direction which is up, which is what we want in our game. We want the thrust to be coming out of the thruster of the rocket and it to head in the appropriate direction. We don't want it to always be going up. We want it to be able to rotate. So I'll put all that back where it was. I'm going to put this just back to global, just because that's normally how I think about these things, but we might switch it around to local at some point to have a look at it again. But that's why we use AddRelativeForce instead of just something like addForce, for example. Now, we've got our parentheses. If you mouse over in here, it says it takes some arguments. In particular, it's looking for a vector 3. So when we're adding force, it's saying to us, okay, what do you want to add on the X and the Y and the Z? How much force do you want to add on that? What's the vector? And so literally it's looking for a vector 3. And we know vector 3s we can write as something, comma, something, comma, something, literally. So when I say something, I've just put in 0 at this point in time, and then semicolon. That's not going to go anywhere. We're adding nothing. So what if we add, say, 1, comma, 0, comma, 0? What direction do we expect that would go in? Well, let's find out. I'll hit save, jump back over into Unity. So it's probably not going to do anything just yet. We've got a massive 1, which is heavy. What does 1 mean? 1 kilogram, 1 ton? I don't know. It's just 1 in Unity units. We'll put it to 0.1 for now and see if that helps us. Click on play. And I think it might be... I think the problem that I've got here is I'm not giving it enough oomph. So I'm going to go back here and just be crazy and put it to 100 to see what happens. Save that. Now jump back over into Unity to make the point I was trying to make all along. Click on play. Now when I hit space, boom, it goes flying off to the right because we're adding 100 units of force to the right. That's pretty big and pretty quick. And just a note, we'll play around with the mass later on. We'll put it back to 1 before the... Actually, you know, I'll put it back to 1 now just so I can make my point, because I'm going to give you a little bit of challenge to solve a few of these things here. So I've got to make it 100, 0, 0, which is saying shove yourself aggressively to the right every fixed update frame. We'll put that back to 0. And what we're really looking for here is 0 something. I'll call it 10 for now. 0, 10, 0, because we want our object to go up, and up is the y-axis. And if it's in the local, add relative force, then the local is going to be up no matter how we rotate ourselves. We'll click on play, and it's going really slowly, so a massive 1 needs more than 10 force, but it's actually going up in the air, and that's the direction we want it to go in. That's the behavior we're looking for. There's a really interesting way that we can write 0, 1, 0. We can write shorthand, basically move up, and we can write that by typing vector3.up. And you can see if we just go back a second, vector 3 dot, you'll see there's up, there's down, there's back, there's forward, there's left. So that understands, if we type vector 3 dot up and then mouse over it, it understands this is shorthand for writing vector 3 parentheses 0, 1, 0. But vector 3 dot up, I find, is a little bit cleaner and a little bit more straightforward when we're looking at it and saying what's going on here. Oh, it's going to go in an up direction. We don't have to take that moment to figure it out. And it also means we don't have these magic numbers baked into our code. We can then apply a modifier to vector 3.up, so a modifier to the 0, 1, 0 to have it be more impactful, and that is going to be your challenge. When I say impactful, I mean that it's flying with more force. We're pushing more firmly on our rocket. So I want to tidy up our code. First of all, we want to add a tuning variable. I'm going to call mine thrust strength. And then we also want to make our thrusting frame rate independent. And a little hint for you here, because we're using fixed update, in previous projects, you've probably used just update and you've used time.delta time. But because we're using fixed update, we need to use time.fixed delta time. Does the same thing, but it relates to the fixed update and applies to that. So there's your challenge. Pause the video. I'll see you back here shortly. First of all, let's create ourselves a serialized field variable. Serialized field, this will be a float, so we get lots of precision over it, and we'll call this thrust strength. I think it's a great name for that. Should we initialize it at something? I think we should. So we'll initialize it by giving it a value of 100F. That seemed to be an interesting number to use. And now down here in our fixed update, rb.AddRelativeForce, vector3.up multiplied by thrust strength, and then also multiplied by time dot fixed delta time. So let's save, back to Unity, click on play. Camera's in not the best position. Why are we not going up in the air? Probably not going up in the air because our number is now quite tiny, because the multiplying by fixed delta time is going to make this whole number quite small. Every frame is only doing a small amount. So let's go back over into Unity. We'll find our thrust strength. I'm just going to put it really crazy, 10,000, just to make sure that I'm not being crazy here and this actually works. From goes flying up in the air. Yes, it does work. Side note, just very quickly, I'll change my camera position. I'm going to twiddle with the camera a bunch more shortly, but I'll put it way back here, just so I can see more about what's going on my screen when I'm showing you. There we go. And when I click on play, from it goes flying up. So probably a number of 1,000, I'm guessing, is going to be okay, just for now, to make sure this is all working. 1,000, okay, there it's flying up in the air. So I've got a massive 1, thrust strength of 1,000. We've got this frame rate independent, and that's where I wanted to get to for this lecture. So good stuff. I'll see you in the next one.